delighted to introduce the next panel titled Bringing Hindus from Different Countries Together. This panel will be moderated by Dr. Sadhana Bose, a distinguished public health leader, doctor, academician, and philanthropist. Dr. Bose is on her way. There she is. The panel members are Srimati Sharmishta Saha, who is an active member of the Bangladeshi Hindu community in WA. She is the principal of the Perth Pathshala Bangla School. There she is. Shri T. Murlidharan is a Shastrik teacher, a Hindu chaplain who serves on the executive committee of ISKCON Perth. Thank you. Shri Mukesh Maniji is a Hindu from Fiji. He has been actively involved with the Hindu community for over 3 decades, helping build the very first Hindu temple in Perth. Is he there? Okay, good. Okay. Shriyai Gede Made Kurni Awan is a Hindu from Bali, Indonesia. He is the president of the Balinese Community Association in Western Australia. Gade means elder brother, so my pranams to my elder brother. Though he looks younger to me right now.
Gade means elder, but Made means middle brother.
Oh. Dr. Ushma Vadia is a Hindu from Kenya. She is an active Karikar in the BAPS organization and is a dedicated pediatrician too. Is she there on the panel? Yes. Oh, very much so. Okay. Shri Rakesh Gokulji is a Hindu from Mauritius. Thank you. Okay. He has been actively involved in the Perth Mauritian Hindu community for the past decade. Shri Dhanlal Shrestha is a Hindu from Nepal, which is like our first cousin. I say, Nepal is part of us. He has been
They are not our cousin.
They are
Sita ji is from there.
Oh my God, so Samdi.
They are our mama.
Oh, mama. Okay. He has been an active leader within the Nepali community and supports the Nepali temples in Perth. Miss Yaso Punuthurai is a Hindu from Sri Lanka. She is a dynamic leader with extensive experience within the public and private sector. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for this very marvelous panel before you. Thank you.
Over to me. Thank you. So we've got 2 mics. Hello. Namaste. Namaste, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome back after a fantastic lunch and a very, very energizing morning session. Swamiji, it was wonderful to hear you and hear so many other esteemed speakers. Praveena ji has been very kind to our panel. I believe we have approximately about an hour. Yes, thank you very much. Because as you can see, we are full strength here. We have got a real global diaspora representation, number of countries from around the globe. So before I begin our panel, I would just like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land upon which we have gathered here today, the Wajak people of the Noongar Nation. I acknowledge their elders, past, present, and emerging. Now, Australia is home to million followers of Sanatan Dharma, better known to the world as Hinduism. Sanatan Dharma underlies our approach to life, and it refers to the eternal law which is universal in the concept of virtuous living. Our Dharma encompasses all of us, those of us who pray to the divine, all-pervading energy, which is known by various names and celebrated in the form of many common festivals. While, like Swamiji referred in the morning, we may be Vaishnavas, Shaivas, devotees of Shakti, or we may even follow very diverse philosophies of Advaita and Dvaita, yet we also believe in the common teachings of the Vedic scriptures. We collectively believe in karma, kal, Atma, Brahman, and the divinity of Prakriti. Therefore, together we pray to Lord Ganesha as Vignaharta, and we pray for moksha for our beloved departed ones. For a Sanatani, a person's dharma consists of our duties, and it helps us live our life with a purpose. True to this essence, the rich presence and contribution of Hindus, Jains, Buddhists, and Sikhs globally is evident in every form and field that you can see around you, be that the government, be it education, healthcare, business, charity, community service, you name it, we are there. But then again, like Rajendra ji said, we earn with 100 hands when we give back with 1,000 hands. So wherever we are, we build, we don't break. Regardless of which country we call home, our values of religious tolerance, acceptance, that there are many ways to connect to God, to serve the world around us, is common and similar. This is because we collectively believe that every species of the 84,000 species mentioned in our scriptures has a right to this planet. That we are all part and parcel of the same divine, all-pervading energy, called variously by different names, God, Ishwar, Bhagwan, and many other names. Guided by the beliefs that the world is one family, Vasudeva Kutumbakam, that serving mankind is equal to serving God Himself, we Sanatanis serve all Australian residents and visitors, irrespective of race, gender, religion, and nationality. Towards this, the Hindu organizations and temple associations help integrate and assimilate people into the Australian way of life. Now, I set that tone because before we venture into the panel discussion, I would just like to highlight a couple of points. One, the panel will be loosely using the term Hindu and Hinduism to refer to all religions that owe their origin to philosophies originating from ancient Vedic scriptures, also known as the Vedas. So we represent the Hindus. In a sense, when we talk, we are actually talking about Hinduism, Sikhism, Buddhism, and Jainism because we have many common teachings. The second is that the views of the panel members are our own personal perspective as a practicing Hindu, Jain, or any other dharmic religion. Our views are not representative of our countries, and neither do we consider ourselves scholarly experts of Sanatan Dharma or religious scholars. So please bear that in mind and be kind to us. The purpose of the panel discussion is really to identify ways that the rapidly evolving Australian Sanatan Dharma community can serve our young and dynamic home nation, Australia, while we are also protecting, preserving, and promoting the eternal values of Dharma enshrined in our Vedic scriptures. Each one of us in this panel has a thought-provoking, unique identity. We are global Sanatanis. By global Sanatani, I mean we owe our spiritual roots to the timeless Vedic scriptures of ancient India, which we refer to as the Janma Bhoomi of ourselves or our ancestors. And second is we owe our physical identities to the country we now call our Karma Bhoomi, Australia. It gets more interesting because most of us have more than one country that we call home. For example, we have Rakesh ji. He's a Hindu Australian originating from Mauritius. And then we have Sharmishta ji. She's a Hindu Australian originating from Bangladesh. And of course, we have Dhanlal ji. He's a Hindu Australian originating from Nepal, and so on. So in keeping with the conference theme, Dynamic Communities, Vibrant Australia, this panel will deliberate upon our journey as Sanatanis, the opportunities and challenges that the global Sanatan Dharma diaspora believe to be the keys that will enable engagement of Hindus in decisions that affect and impact the future of our own generations and this beloved country of ours, Australia. So with that, I open the panel for discussion. And I would like to begin with two sets of questions. The first question is, it's really an icebreaker. And it is, if each one of you could please tell about your country of origin, the practice of Sanatan Dharma there, one or two interesting facts and maybe challenges that you have seen growing up or you still see visiting. The purpose is to give the audience an idea about the practice of Sanatan Dharma in your home country. Dhanlalji.
Thank you, Sadhanaji. As you know, I'm from Nepal, a land of Pasupatinath. land of Kathmandu city, which is also called city of temples. Everywhere in nook and corner you can see the temples. And also it has been
Land of Janakpur and
Janakpur. I was coming to that point. Janakpur, Mata Sitaji, and we have Ram, our Javai Raja in India, in Ayodhya. So almost 90% population is Hindus, Sanatanis, and there are we include Omkara Parivars, which is around 94%. And from from the beginning of the time, Nepal had been always Hindu country, but past 16 years it has been converted into secular country, maybe because of the Kacha Laddu. We were not Pakka Laddu, Katak Laddu. So we have felt that it has been a secular country, and there are so many challenges. I come from a family where my mother used to go to Saptaha Bhagavad Gita's. We had a lot of books. In the month of Magha, which is January, February, we used to, every night, for 1 month, we used to read Swastani, a book which talks about Sati Devi, Mahadev, all those Hindu creation stories. And from that background, when I came to Australia, it has been very challenging. So we'll talk about that. But Kathmandu was a valley called Nepal. Nepal basically means a rishi, which was a Ne rishi, which was governing the valley. The valley has, that's why it's called Nepal. Pal means like, protecting. So the Nepal is also land of Saligram, Muktinath. So many mountains are named like Gauri Shankar mountain. Rivers are named after gods and goddesses. So we name our children as from the Hindu goddesses, like Ram, Sita, daughters, and all those things. But challenging part is coming to Australia, making that tradition. Like so many women had to have this bindi. Now so many people are stopping bindis here. And children are slowly, that kind of challenge is here. But I think Nepal is, everybody knows Nepal is was Hindu one country before 15 years ago. Now it is secular country, which is, so many people are not happy. That, like Kadaklatu concept is coming back. Slowly they are trying to bring the Hindu kingdom again back to the mainstream. And thank you.
Thank you very much, Dhanlalji, for that introduction. Murli Prabhu, if you could please use that mic and pass it on. So I would like to introduce Murlidhar Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Your mic is not on.
My one hand is problem.
Thank you. Thank you, Sadhanaji. Most of you sitting here are Indian, so I don't have to say much about Hinduism in India. In fact, I won't use the word Hinduism, I'll call it Sanatan Dharma. The Hindu Dharma or the Sanatan Dharma, we can say. Guess how old is Sanatan Dharma? Yes, no, the word Sanatan actually has to be understood as the word eternal, and Dharma is another very sophisticated word. But if you go by the Bhagavad Gita, the message in chapter 4 talks about it. It talks about it is more than 2 million years old, the Sanatan Dharma. More than 2 million years old. The message of the Bhagavad Gita was spoken by Krishna to Ikshvaku at that time. So it is a very old tradition we are talking about, and the word Sanatan Dharma itself has to be understood deeply. The word Dharma itself, it's a very sophisticated word. Normally we understand the word dharma as duty, but actually it is something more than that. It starts with purpose, the purpose for which anything exists, and duty flows from that purpose. The duty is the means by which we achieve that purpose. And the word Sanatan Dharma says that we are all Atmans, and our dharma, our eternal dharma, is to connect with the Supreme. So that is the real meaning of Sanatan Dharma. Coming back to some statistics about Hindu Sanatana Dharma, there are more than about 1.3 billion people who are Hindus. And out of that, nearly about 92% of them live in India. And in India itself, about close to 80% of the population are Hindus, but that is slowly coming down because of various reasons. There are about couple of principles which brings about unity amongst all the Hindus, in whatever sects we are there. There are about 5 or 6 fundamental principles. If we can focus on that, we can bring about unity. I'll just mention some terms to bring about that unity. One is Brahman, as Dr. Sadhana Mataji said, Brahman, the concept of Brahman. Atman is another uniting factor which brings all of us agree on the concept of Atman. Samsara, the reincarnation concept, is again very unique to Hinduism. Dharma, karma, the law of karma is another factor which brings about unity of Hinduism. So there are 5 or 6 principles based on which we can bring about unity of Hinduism. And I personally, for myself, I strongly feel that we should have one book. The Vedic scriptures are very vast, but even to read one book, today's youth don't have the time. So instead of talking of multiple books, if we can focus on one book for us, and I personally think the Bhagavad Gita is the best way by which, if we have one book which can bring about unity amongst the Hindus.
Thank you, Muralidhar Prabhuji. If you could pass on the mic to Sharmishta, please.
Namaskar everyone. Thank you Sadhana ji and the organizers for having me here. As you already probably know, I'm from Bangladesh, living in Australia, especially here in Perth for last 18 years. Talking about Bangladesh and Hinduism. Bangladesh was historically part of India and shares the same historical history of Hinduism dating back over 4,000 years. Sanatana Hindu Dharma was evolved in that land from ancient practices and beliefs, incorporating elements from the Vedic religion and local tradition. Presently, Bangladesh is the 3rd largest Hindu populated country in the world after India and Nepal. Approximately 13.8 million Hindus are living in Bangladesh. I'm just giving a couple of examples of ancient temples and pilgrimages in Bangladesh that highlights the historical presence of Hindus in that land. One of them is like Chandranath Temple, Sitakundu in Chittagong. This temple is a famous Shakti Pith, where, as per Hindu sacred texts, the right arm of the deity Shati fell. Chandranath Temple is a popular pilgrimage site for Hindus in Bangladesh and other part of the world, I think from India and others, also come to this pilgrimage site. Dhakeshwari Temple in Dhaka also demands a special mention. This temple is believed to have been built in the 12th century by Ballal Sen, a king of the Sena dynasty. It is one of the oldest temple in the country. The temple is dedicated to the goddess Dhakeshwari, meaning the goddess of Dhaka. You know probably Dhaka is the capital of Bangladesh.
Fantastic.
There is a very popular pilgrimage site called Langalbandh at the bank of Brahmaputra river in Narayanganj. Langalbandh Punna Snan happens on the Shukla Ashtami Tithi of Chaitra month. The legend is the Parshuram Muni was cleansed of his sins by taking a bath here. This is just few highlights because I think the normal history is all available in Wikipedia and similar to Indian history of Hinduism. Now I want to focus on just a couple of challenges.
Could we come to the challenges later? We'll just do an introduction of every country and then we'll come back for sure.
Okay.
If you could pass on the mic, please, to Ushma ji. Thank you.
Namaste, everyone. So I'm representing Kenya, and I am an Indian. My parents went to Kenya, so I was born in Kenya. Hindu Dharma or Sanatan Dharma in Kenya, only 0.13% of the Kenyans are actually identify themselves as Hindus. However, Hindus came to Kenya in the late 1900s and early 2000s. So, sorry, not 20th century and late 19th century, so many, many years ago. And then what's happened is Hindus have integrated within the Kenyan society. Initially, when Indians went from India to Kenya was for trade, and during the British colonial, when the railway was being built, so from Kenya to Uganda, and a lot of Indians went. Primarily, they were Gujaratis, so I am a Gujarati, and Punjabi. So a lot of the Kenyans in Kenya are actually, sorry, a lot of Hindus in Kenya are actually primarily Gujarati or Punjabi, but you do see other people from other parts of India there as well. In terms of Hindu presence within Kenya, it's actually very concentrated in urban areas. And so about 70 to 80,000 Hindus within Kenya would be in major cities. So Eldoret, Nairobi, Mombasa, Kisumu, and Thika. So you're looking at about 8 or 9 main areas where a lot of the Hindus are concentrated. So we have lots of Hindu temples, lots of cultural centers as well within these big cities and country towns. The other thing that has happened over the many years, and it's credit to many of the generations that have existed within Kenya, is that we have been able to have Hindu religion education as part of the curriculum. And this was initially started establishing in the 1980s, and then now it's become an option that many of the people who go through the educational system will have an opportunity to learn about Hindu religion education. Many of the schools are also Hindu-run, so there is a few that are Hindu-run schools and also hospitals that are Hindu-run and so serve communities. So integration, I know we used the word assimilation, integration, but essentially the presence is there of Hindus within Kenya. And I
Fantastic.
guess the other big thing is that we have the freedom to worship, and I think that's a very important thing, that we are allowed to be able
Absolutely. Thank you so
to-
much, Ushma ji. If you could just pass it on to, I'm just conscious of the time that we have. Thank you. Yesul?
Namaskaram to all. Chidambaram pogamal irupeno naan janmathai veenaaki kedupeno bhaktiyum mananum oruvinadhange saktiyum solven sadalamum ninge chidambaram pogamal. So I said the theme is all about Shiva. That's the meaning of the song itself was in Tamil. Would I waste this very purpose of my birth here, or the mind and the devotion are fixated there in Chidambaram, and I speak the truth, only my lifeless body exists here. So I'm here, thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm representing Sri Lanka, and the Hindu Dharma is one of Sri Lanka's oldest religion, with the temples dating in 2000 years. So Hindus are made about 12% of the Sri Lankan population. They're almost exclusively Tamils. I'm a Tamilian born in Jaffna in northern part of Sri Lanka. And except a small migrant communities came from India and other neighboring countries, with the evidence suggesting its presence even before the arrival of Buddhism in the 3rd century BCE. Because Sri Lanka is considered as a Buddhist country, but most of the Tamils are Hindus, and they practice religion very seriously and with a meaning and a purpose. So the pre-Buddhist era, the archaeological findings and historical texts hint that the Hindu practices, particularly the worship of Shiva, exist in Sri Lanka before the arrival of Buddhism. And the Nagas, an ancient group of inhabiting the parts of Sri Lanka, are believed to have practiced an early form of Hinduism centered on Shiva and serpent worship. So that's why I started the song with the Shiva, of course,
Beautiful.
being a musician. And slightly the Ramayana connection of Sri Lanka. The epic Ramayana identifies the Lanka, the Sri Lanka, as the kingdom of Ravana, who also the biggest devotee of Shiva. And he also plays the veena beautifully. And whilst these are the mythological accounts, they indicate a long-standing association of the island with Hindu traditions. We also have these very beautiful temples, especially in the northern part of Sri Lanka. The Tamil literature from later periods mentions the ancient Hindu shrines dating back to the pre-Christian era, including the Shiva temples at Trikedishwaram, Koneshwaram, Munishwaram, as well as the Shakti temple in Nagadeepa. So these are considered one of the Ishvara's temples in Sri Lanka. Yes, we have Munishwaram also, yes, thank you, sir. And the early part of the Tamil presence, the Tamil migrants from South India occurred over centuries, contributing a significant Hindu population, particularly in the northern and eastern part of the island. Then we do also have the Chola influence. The Chola dynasty from the South India held sway over the parts of Sri Lanka during the 10th and 11th centuries, further solidifying the Hindu presence and the temple constructions. So Jaffna Kingdom, Jaffna Kingdom is very much every nook and corner you see temples, and the Hindu religion is followed very beautifully.
And it's still thriving. It is thriving.
It's still thriving, and I must say the connection to the temples for me is the bhakti. The bhakti is through the music. The amount of music is played in the temples are just amazing, especially the temple drums, the tawil and the nadaswaram, the wind instruments. Even till today, I would love to take this into conference one day. Pravina, we should take to Jaffna this conference and have it at a local village temples.
We did in 1982 in Jaffna.
Just before the problems. Okay, just,
Yeah.
okay,
So we need-
thank you.
we-
And Swamiji, please, my request that we could go back again. I still go back. The bhakti there, and you get into the tears because you get reach the highest
Yeah.
bhakti when the musicians and the priest does the
Thank
pujas in the temple.
you. Thank you, yes, Surji, and that's a beautiful summary, and you began it so beautifully. And I must tell, it takes us back to what Hinduism is about. You know, our temples are not just places of worship. They were centers of learning, creative learning, dance, music, scriptures, and we seem to have kind of lost that in many ways. So it's wonderful, maybe a future conference there. Thank you. Moving on to Mukesh ji from Fiji.
Thank you, Sadhana ji. I think I can't compare myself with Yaso at all.
You can try singing.
Because their language is very pure.
Fiji. Yeah.
Namaskar to all. This is Ambula. स्वामी जी नमन है आपके कि आपने हमारा देश में अपन कदम रखा. हम आपके आभारी हैं. Fiji, as you all know, thank you very much. Fiji, Hinduism in Fiji was very mixed. And unfortunately, because of the endangered system, where the working class went first, the economists came later, the moneylenders came after that, which were the Gujaratis, which Usma is very happy about. So religion in Fiji, Hinduism, started with small temples, which we used to call the koti. And I give credit to the Tamil people, the South Indian people, because they started the first puja with the fireworking ceremonies. Today, Sangam, as Swamiji said, Tiyasa Sangam is a religious, cultural, and sporting body, which I have been part of for the last 40 years. And we have built some beautiful temples. We have got many schools. We have now started medical centers, which aids the government. But in the last 30 years, I'd say, after our first coup in 1987, unfortunately I was part of it, but the Hinduism and Indians have declined. Yes, you are right, sir. So Hinduism, as I came out of Fiji some 40 years ago, I had to learn a lot about Hinduism. I had to go to India on many trips. I was fortunate enough to be involved with the Hindu temple in Watton Road, Canning Vale, and I give credit to my predecessors who came prior to that and started the temple. And we came, now everyone's on the tail end of the temple, which is a beautiful temple. But Hinduism became known in Perth because of that. because of one major temple. Let's go back to Fiji. Fiji is still a nation now with a young generation. I think Hinduism will be diluted. Not diluted to a stage where it will be erased, but unless we start to think different, or the school of thought as Hindus change. See, as Hindus, we have a class system. We like to talk about doctors, engineers, lawyers, accountants. Then comes the taxi driver. We got more taxi drivers, Hindus here than accountants. Truck drivers, middle management. All these common Hindus are sometimes left aside. And as Hindus, we must become inclusive, not exclusive. This is the main reason where Hinduism is losing face globally. I've attended your conference, Swamiji. I was there in 2008 in Sydney. But as a very advocate of Hinduism, I'm a living example of putting things as a Hindu. I've lived in this community for 40 years. All my employees are white. I have employed only white people all my life. But as a Hindu, they know who I am. Because I tell them, this is my job, this is my karma, this is my duty as a Hindu to display my own religion to you first.
Absolutely.
And then how you learn.
Thank you.
Is my time over, Sadhmaji?
Oh, yeah, kind of.
Another 2 minutes.
No. I just want to tell one thing. You know, we were going to make the connection to Mahabharat. That was the interesting fact about Fiji I wanted you to share with the audience in case some of us don't know.
Well, it was the Ramnik Deep that Krishna Bhagwan, when he left, what was the, I've
Sudarshan
really
Chakra.
forgotten the whole story of the chakra, or he got the Nag or something. And the Ramnik Deep actually fell in Fiji. And you wouldn't believe it, the Adivasi, the natives of Fiji, has great belief in it. It's a very sacred place. And I haven't been fortunate to see it, but it's a very sacred place where the Adavasis go. And all of their great chiefs, as you come out of Africa and all that, we know of the chiefly system. I grew up in the chiefly system, so they are allowed to go there and have something. I guess this is why they've never bothered us as Hindus.
Yeah, absolutely.
So-
And that's interesting because it goes back to the modern dating of our way of life and the actual antiquity of our way of life. And it goes to the story of Itihasa of Kalia going, being banned off to that faraway place in Fiji. So we are a Vasudeva Kutumbakam. We are interconnected by the same divine force. And with that, I move to Mauritius and Rakesh ji.
Yes, first I'd like to take the position of third largest Hinduism by proportion, people from Bangladesh. Please give it back to us. So I must say, we really, we are blessed. Number 3, yeah, that's better. So we are blessed by a thriving Hindu community in Mauritius. More than 650,000 people of Hindu community. And basically they are Indo-Mauritians who came back in the 1800s to work as indentured laborers. And during that time, we have 2 centuries, we have made lots of progress, and we have been able to create lots of organizations whose main purpose has been to devote themselves to the leadership, the funding, and basically the consecration, the participation of all the Hindu festivals in the island. So currently, we are also in harmony with all other religions in the country, and that's one of the praises to our island. So as I can see, we have so many religious groups, but we have a rich sense of appreciation of each other's communities. So for instance, we'll be able to celebrate others' festivals, like 1 out of 3 public holidays is devoted to Hindu festivals, and others to different communities like the Chinese, the European, the the Muslim community, and so on, and the Catholics. So we are able to partake in their in their festivals and also appreciate the sense, okay, of community, which is really what makes Mauritius today a successful story.
Yep.
And having said that, like we have lots of channels. So we have the Mauritius Broadcasting Corporation. We have the Mahatma Gandhi Institute, which is at the an apex for education, for tertiary education, for secondary education, and also guides the primary education curriculum for Oriental languages. And in that way, I must say that we don't just coexist, but rather we thrive together. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rakesh. And last but not the least is Maddeji. He's from the Balinese Hindu community, and we're very fortunate to have him as well join us today. Thank you.
Om Swastiastu. Namaskaram. Thank you for it.
You say loudly Om Swastiastu. This is your greeting. Huh?
Yes. Om Swastiastu.
Om Swastiastu.
Thank you for time for me for explain about the Hindus in Bali in Indonesian, but on behalf of our authority, I want to just explain about the historical Hindu come to Indonesian around 4th century. They bring from the route from the India, from the Maharishi came to Mahatma Gandhi is around Empu Kuturan around 4th century until 8th century, based on the belief about the Brahman, Vishnu and Shiva. And then after around 16th century, the Maharishi from they call Dahyang Nirata came to Bali, bring to the same belief about the Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. And then actually for a lot the belief about the God, they call the God, around 1959, the government and then the Hindu authority or association under the authority of the government announcement about the only one Hindu Dharma in Indonesian. Because for
Parishada Hindu Dharma Indonesia.
yes, that's the association. And then 1959, because it's the high from the conflict about the belief about Brahma, Vishnu, they call the only one God. It's a Yang Widiwasa, and then that mean manifestation from Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva.
Yep.
And then for the concept is the main concept for Hindu in Indonesia, in Bali, they call the 5 belief the concept about the belief of God. And the second is belief of Atman, is soul. And then with the karma, reincarnation, and then it's another one, sorry.
There is another
And
one.
then the moksha.
Moksha.
Yes.
So it is common regardless of which part of the world we come from. So thank you so much
Thank you.
for that. That was really to give an idea of how diversely we are spread around the world, yet how united and common we are. Going back to what Swamiji said about looking from outside like a watermelon, but inside all of us are very similar. I'm going to now straight jump to a question which will also be taking us to the possible ways of we can work together. So I'll start with you, Madde, again, and we'll work backwards with the mic. So if you could just highlight, now that you call Australia home as a Balinese Hindu, what would be according to you, the topmost priority for your community here as Hindu Balinese living in Australia? Because I would like us to then talk about how we can work together on what appears to be a common priority across the panel. So if you could highlight any 1 or 2 areas that you think is of concern for your community or an opportunity for your community here in Australia.
Okay, thank you for your attention. This is our community here is in Australia. We are encouraged and for the young generation for still keep our culture because it's Hindu in Indonesia and Bali can separate with our traditional about the philosophy and ethic, also the ritual. And then we are for the older people here, will keep give the knowledge for my young generation, keep going and look after our culture, and then also can stay, will join together with our Hindu community in here for pray, wherever we pray with the Shiva temple, everything, we only have a God, Yang Vidi. That's our goal for only two.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And
You're welcome.
if you could pass it on to Rakesh ji, again the same question. You know, top 1 or 2 priority areas for Mauritian Hindus here in Australia that, you know, we can work together as a community on.
I think the most important one is a disconnect of our adolescents, our young adults about our religion. And I've been a teacher myself for 18 years, both New Zealand and Australia, so I can see that very evident. And I suppose we have to work at grassroots levels to be able to get their interest and motivation, because here they come with the abundance mentality, so they have a choice. They don't need to follow what their first generation people have done. So I think that this is where we have to find ways and means to be able to lure them into our religion.
Yeah.
So probably at grassroots level, again, being a teacher, I think that Hindu camps are very important.
Yeah.
At like holidays, okay, where we can get our adolescents to motivate, to be motivated on that. And also I think that at secondary level, obviously, I think that Pravinaji has talked about the Hindu school, which is likely to come. So we really need these things, okay, because we find that our own people are sending our kids to different faith schools, like Catholic schools. We are shielding them really from the, so clearly we are favoring the other schools. Our students are the brightest, and yet we send them to those Catholic schools. We are paying and so on. Why not have our own type of school? Why not have a Hindu school? So I think it's high time for us to think about this.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, yeah. You know, besides the fact that we don't have a Hindu school, I think it's not that we are favoring, we do not have a choice. If we had a choice and we chose a Catholic school or another school, yes, but we don't have a choice. So it's high time we think of that for Western Australia. Passing on to Mukesh ji.
Thank you, Sadhana ji. I think our community, the Fiji community, which is fairly well scattered in relation to religion. Depends on what part of Fiji you came from, your background, either South Indian, North Indian, Gujarati. So people have aligned themselves. Our community, I don't see any threats there. The only thing I see is that sometimes they feel isolated. So this is where I talk about being inclusive. They say, oh, the India Indians and the Fiji Indians. This is the reality. They say, you do it different, we do it different. So what we have to do is find common ground. Common ground where we accept people, their ways. You know, in the early days, in the 80s, they used to say, oh, that's the South Temple. It was never a South Temple. The Hindu temple was a Hindu temple for everyone. People made it that way. You go north, they say, oh, no, but that's run by the Tamilians or the South Indians. No. So this is, in answer to your question, I think what we have, again, as I'll repeat myself, is unity in inclusiveness. So my work as a Hindu, as a global Hindu, is to look at Balinese people, Kenyan, whoever it is. If they talk to me about Hinduism, if they want to know about the temples, if they know about our history first, from Jagadguru Adi Shankaracharya, then we can start. So this is, half of it is that Itihas is not known here.
Yes.
And once we come to Itihas, then I think people will have better understanding. And that's why we need the Swamis, the Gurus, to put this thing out, which hasn't happened in the last 70 years. It's coming out now, after 2014. So this, the core message of adamant advocates of Hinduism like us, and there's many sitting in this audience, would prefer to see that equality come back into Hinduism what it was.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's so grounding for us to think about. Thank you. And I would just like to touch on the fact that, when you talk about schools and education, we need to move away from the concept of it being mythology and storytelling. It is itihas, it is our history, and it's high time we reclaim it as our history. So coming to you, Yasuji.
Thank you. The most of the Sri Lankans, I think, migrated in the early 90s and later on, except few of, like my father-in-law who came in 50s. There is it's a way of connecting because Sri Lankans also, the time they migrated, they also had other challenges, the reasons why when they migrated. So the temple was a place not only for worship here, it was also a place more of a counseling and a social gathering to give them the comfort. And of course, everyone knows that Sri Lanka, we had the civil war for 30 years. So most of them migrated with traumatized emotional feelings and left behind everything, or many came through the sea. So totally comparing to many other countries, we were in a different situation. And the Perth Balamurugan temple is predominantly, it's been managed and run by the Sri Lankan Tamils, but they welcome everyone, and it's in a beautiful Kunana strip, and it's got a beautiful peacocks shed and chooks and everything. It's very set up in a village atmosphere, and all are always welcome. And that temple and a little community center where we meet and eat on a Friday night, especially for the youth, became giving them a life back here and some happiness and comfortness. So the religion we spoke about, Hindu Dharma, is all about giving and doing our duty. So that's where I saw that, though I believe personally, every temple, whether I go to the Balaji temple or Hindu temple, the God is one and the God is there. And the temple is for everybody.
So just coming back to what you would see, I'm hearing the ringer. So coming back to what you see as a priority, would that be temples as places more than worship? For
At that particular
Hindus?
timing, it was a place for a conference,
now?
but now it's gone beyond that and better. It's more of a worship and very much well set up now.
Thank
it's
you
become
so much.
self-sustainable as well, which is great. Thank you to all the members who are running the place. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ushma ji, any one priority that you would like to pick?
I think
For us to
the
work.
themes are coming out. Finding our identity within the hybrid identities. So I'm a Kenyan Hindu identity, but I am a Hindu. So how do I find and practice as a Hindu within Australia?
Yeah.
And then I think the other big theme is actually the intergenerational gap or
Yeah.
the cultural gap, and how do we have effective and meaningful intergenerational dialogue between
Fantastic.
ourselves so that we can allow the youth who are our future and who are going to maintain Hindu or Sanatan Dharma within the places that they are going to be residing in. I think they're the big
Thank you
themes.
so much for being to the
Precise.
point. Sharmishta ji, one or two priority areas?
I would touch base on where you cut me off
Okay.
previously. I
Sorry.
think the challenges, I was going to actually just go for less than 30 seconds, going to talk about the
Yeah.
challenges faced by Hindus living in Bangladesh.
Sure, yeah.
And as touched base by the keynote speaker Pravina ji before, that there is a historical and ongoing persecution as a minority, Hindu people facing every day from 28% in 1941 to less than 8% now in Bangladesh, Hindu people. And there are issues, unique issues that is faced by Hindus living in Bangladesh, mainly actually continuity of the religious
Yeah.
beliefs.
No, we're talking about, the Bangladeshi Hindus in Australia.
Yeah, I'm just, because I couldn't actually
Sure.
speak about this one, I'm
Okay.
just making that,
Okay.
bringing
You're making the
here.
point, yeah.
Yeah. So, based on this, one thing I want to bring to this audience here, that when I think Bangladesh Hindu community is a very good candidate for a refugee visa in Australia, it will be only fair to give them a priority.
Absolutely.
And if I talk about people living here as a Hindu community, most of the things already spoken by other peers here. I just want to bring one point as a specific one for us, I think, maybe faced by others. We bring idols from India or somewhere, and then after 10 years, they become redundant. And as a Hindu ritual, we don't really like to send them to tipping points. It will be very good if we have some water body where we actually historically would like to
Wonderful.
discard
Thank
them.
you. Yeah, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
That's a relevant point. Murli Prabhu, if you could just identify one thing that you think we can work together on.
Yeah, the first point which I wanted to say was about having an apex body for representing Hindus, and I think Swami has solved the problem today of having HOTA as an apex body for representing all of Hindus.
Yeah.
But besides that, a couple of things which I wanted to say was, one way of bringing about Hindus together is promoting the Bhagavad Gita as one book for the Hindus. Actively promote the message of the Bhagavad Gita, especially amongst the youth, because the youth of today just don't want to believe only in rituals. They want some logic, they want some explanations. They want a scientific way of understanding our religion. And I think the Bhagavad Gita will do that. And I sincerely think that we should promote the Bhagavad Gita as one holy book. The final thing which I wanted to say, though there are a couple of other things which I want to say. One is one way of bringing about through is cultural events. And I think Kirtan is one way by which we can promote and bring about unity amongst the Hindus.
Thank you so much. And then Lalji, very briefly, any one area?
As a Nepalese community, we believe that now we have combined Hindu population here, and we have some parliament members also. Let us propose one public holiday, Hindu public holiday in Western Australia. Be it Sivaratri or Deepavali or Krishnastami, let us celebrate one as a public holiday, because in Nepal, how we meant, there are 10 days public holiday in Dasara, 3 days in Deepavali. Sivaratri is a public holiday. Every month there is a public holiday in Nepal. That's how we family have time to just celebrate. So that is one point. Second is we have land and river connection in our Hindu dharma. So there should be a delegation to the environmental department here or department environmental health that our Hindu, some of the rituals should be done with the river, without polluting it. Like a Dio, हमारा एक month में we have to light the candle or Dio and go to the riverside. Here our phytosanitary or health environmental doesn't allow that.
Yes.
So we need to promote that, because they are calling secular country. We need to have our sanskaras in a very free manner. That is
Thank you
another-
so
yeah,
much.
thank you.
Thank you so much. So just thank you. It was not an easy task having 10 members on a panel. They're wonderful, they're full of knowledge, and it's been fantastic last few months. We've been sharing our thoughts together. So just to sum up very quickly, I'm conscious of the time. We've got about 10 to 11 ideas that have come out on how we can work together. The loud and resounding theme is concentrate on the young Hindu Australians, the future of our generation. That is coming across very loud and clear. Second was about Hindu schools, education. It goes back again to the youth. Third is social isolation of Hindus. Find common grounds, unite Hindus, hybrid Hindus. Doesn't matter which part of the world we are from, but let's have something together socially as one. A fourth point I picked up was, and Sharmishta ji, I appreciate your courage to raise this, such a valid thing, because Hindus as religious minorities face persecution in many parts of the world. And I have seen last many years how there are a number of other minorities who have got religious refugee visas, humanitarian visas. This is an area we need to work on, and Bangladesh is right now burning, so it's an opportunity to actually test this out. So I'm glad you brought that up. That's another area where we can work together. And then there is the water body, having a place where we can all perform our rituals together that is important very differently to all of us. But I think we need that kind of connection to nature. And then promoting that one book, Bhagavad Gita, because of want of, the other religions have one common book. We have one which has the essence of all the Vedas in it. And then there is, Pravinaji, you mentioned, what about all temples having a prayer, one common prayer at 7 p.m. in the night across all the temples in WA. So, that goes back to what Murli Prabhu was talking about, a kirtan connecting us. So not a mantra, shloka, kirtan, something that's common to all the temples. And then every temple gets on with its own way of performing its pujas and kriyas. So these are the areas that we have identified. We were not looking to reach solutions, Swamiji. We just wanted to, and last not the least is public holiday, Diwali or Shivratri. So there is that list of things left, and Hariji tells me 5 minutes left. So we wound up well, we have got those areas, and that's something for HOTA to take forward. And with that, I would like to thank everyone on the panel. I'm sorry if I cut short any of you. And thank you all for that wonderful insight you gave us. Thank you. Hey.
I have one question to the panelists. Look, you are all coming from different countries, settled here in Australia. Now you are all Hindu Australian. You interact in your own community, that is fine. But here in Australia, your identity is Hindu Australian. How you can work together? That one solution, one thing you should come out with something where we can work. Otherwise, we will keep on talking, keep on highlighting our problem, and crying on problem is not going to solve unless we come out with a one solution where we can break this boundary of.
I think, Swamiji, it would be the Hindu school bringing our youth together. That would be a good starting point, and an ambitious target for us all to come, and we all have a common interest. It doesn't matter which country we come from.
And one more is HOTA website. It is now time for social media. HOTA should develop a social website where everybody can log in and question, answer, comments. That HOTA has to be up to the mark of technology, because the younger generation likes to go into mobile phone. HOTA website has to be up to the mark to connect people all the time. And we should be driven by social media, Instagram, and then that should be mindset for the HOTA website.
Social media is fine, but social media is not going to give you winning thing. Social media will give you awareness.
Awareness, yeah, that's what.
Awareness, but you will not win this battle in this world by social
It's the
media.
lack of a school. As a mother who's raised children,
I think it's also important, sorry, that people can make
I think it's in answer to your question, when we had gathering before, we discussed about a Hindu center where we can actually gather everything like cremation services or prayers, everything together, and also we can think about a body who will control these rituals, Hindu rituals. It doesn't matter it's for the birth or the death, everything all over the lives of Hindus here.
50% work already done, so it will happening. So that I want to mention now, because that's the main point now coming. And Radha Shuraji also is working with that. So we were touching with government. Government already approved everything, and 50% work is still working for that one, and it will happening soon.
Thank you so much for the update.
I have a question. A question, rather, I don't know if it is a suggestion. Younger parents whose children are now of marriageable age, if they haven't found spouses, then the onus of finding them spouses lies on the parents. Luckily, my children are both married, but I'm speaking on behalf of other parents. And invariably, they say we must have a forum where, there are Hindus that we can matchmake. So a request to the panelists, can we think of a matchmaking forum on behalf of a lot of parents who've asked me to?
I think we have digressed. We have digressed from the religious side of things. Let's, you can call actually Kritita Shah. I think she's the marriage expert. But anyway, Swamiji, in answer to your question, it's great to have institutions born and bred. What we lack, I think, which I've seen in the last 4 decades, is good leadership. We need leadership without ego. We need leadership without agenda. If we can find good leaders in our community, half our problem will be erased. It's now, I mean, so we should educate ourselves by seeing after 70 years what Modi did after 2014. It took him another 6 years to get where he wanted to, but we got there. So leadership, you see, we make willy-nilly, people who have never worked in the community have become community leaders somehow. They have no idea about it. So, Hota, great idea, beautiful concept, but I think when you kick it off, you need people who can display leadership, take responsibility, and work without fear. Our problem is fear. The Indian community is burdened with fear. We will never sacrifice ourselves. So again, I'm saying, I've done my time. I'm now facing retirement, but I'm saying that you need leaders of our caliber who will take everyone forward.
Thank you, Mukeshi. And that again goes back to, education, children, young people. So however we go around it, we are coming to the future of our dharma, and that is our youth. We need to find ways
Can I
to
just add one more point? I think from the experience from 2014, HOTA had been running successfully in New South Wales. A lot of points you mentioned here, they've been brought out in several meetings. I must say that the level of confidence from the Hindu community is really increasing. We can see representation of people from not only from Fiji, Sri Lanka, all the other areas across the different countries. We have representation, and we can see people are contributing quite positively, and few success also have been done. For example, the crematorium is one which was discussed one point across all the Hindus. We got one crematorium where they were given one pavilion for Hindus. So we can perform our activities, our Hindu homam, etc. in that temple. Similarly, we have some priest training happen. But a lot of temples, especially Fiji temple, they want some priest. So we got some training organized for priests, done that. Then initially, way back, there also some priest shortage. So there was an immigration facility. People helped also to see how they can get a temporary visa for priest. Those things also were done. So a lot of these things came up as a part of the HOTA. I'm sure that you will also appreciate over the course of time, okay? But my only request is please participate in the HOTA meeting without fail and bring up your issues. Please bring up your issues. Then only it will come to the stage and someone will be there to help you. You may not be having confidence. Someone will be there to help you to whatever you wanted. Facing the government, facing anybody, they will be able to help you. That much I can tell you. Thanks.
Jai Sri Ram.
Jai Sri Ram.
Most of you might be knowing me, but I want to introduce myself again. My name is Dr. Dilawar Singh, and we are building a world tallest and largest Hindu temple here, Sri Ram Temple in Perth, on the 335 acres of land. As now the questions came about this Hindu school. So I want to, this is just not only the Ram temple we are making here, building, we are doing the Sanatan Hindu University here. So this is the first initiative in the world, first Hindu university will be set up outside of India, here after Banaras Hindu University. So that is the point I want to mention. And you might be knowing that since 1995, this is made a Hindi Academy of Western Australia here. Now we call the Hindi Samaj. And we are running 17 Pathsala here, for teaching Hindi. But what is next from there? So we want to take that step to this Gurukul and then to university level there. So I need all the supports from all of you. And I am traveling extensively to India many times, and I am traveling to US and Canada, getting the support. So a lot of support coming to West Australia. Really, it's going to be the Indian capital or Indian Ocean capital in Perth.
Thank you, Dilawarji. Thank you. And it'll be wonderful for you to connect with, I think, the other state VHP HOTA leaders when you have the time. Dilawarji. Thank you.
I just want to make one comment.
Yes, Dr. Hari.
I'm from WA, but I'm from Geraldton, which is 450 kilometers away. I think
there's Sudhakar ji from Pilbara here.
Yep.
Is there anybody from out of Perth? So the rest of the room, 200 people. Banbury. So there's
Banbury.
3 of us from 3 different regions. We also need a lot of support and we are very isolated. It's kind of good, we can find a lot of success being isolated because the local community, the press is with me all the time. I've had around 45 times Hinduism splashed to the front page or the second page, talking about Dharma, Karma, Annadanam especially. And we had a 45-minute video in Channel 7 News last Garba night, where Navaratri, Durga, everything was explained by our Channel 7 News reader. And that was a white person. But we are very isolated, so please remember us when you remember other country Hindus. There are regional countries.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hari and Mr. Sudhakaran. Yes, I know rural remote Australia, the challenges faced by our Hindu brothers, sisters. It's been a lot worse going 50 years ago. It's much better now. But definitely we need to be inclusive. When we talk about inclusion, we shouldn't forget the geography. Sudhakaran ji, last question.
Namaste all. Look, the only thing which came out from this panel discussion, I found one thing very common is everybody wants a Hindu identity. What I find is a little, the other side of it, that is Indians who are Hindus still don't want to identify them as Hindus. Likewise, with most of the nationalities that you represent in the panel there, all will have the same feeling, I think, because of the fear factor. Is there a way that we can encourage these associations, organizations, to have Hindu name associated with it, then build that pride? Is that something that we can consider and get speed up there?
Swamiji, would you like to?
See, this is the biggest problem. See, for last 75 years, post-Second World War, this is a big question. I don't want to deal with this. I'm doing this practically. I organized World Hindu Congress, World Hindu Forum in a global area, in many streams. So to make Hindu visible, acceptable, respectable, and make Hindu fashionable, cool. This will only happen, then everybody will accept that I am a proud Hindu. Otherwise, we are branded as something else, which I don't want to discuss. This is because the Western media has done this, because they want to destroy our identity. If you want to destroy community, destroy the identity. And they are successful with that. And because we are coward fellows, sorry to say,
Correct.
Coward community, we
Correct.
retreated from our identity. We retreated from identity, we retreated our ancestor, Shivaji, Maharana Pratap, all fought in the name of Hindu. And we are running away from that very identity.
True, Swamiji. One thing what I noticed is, in the last World Hindu Conference, which was in Bangkok, right? That Hindu manifesto, just called the manifesto or Hindu declaration. I think that's a very important thing, because the key things, like so many people here within this hall itself call ourselves associated with Hinduism and so on and so forth. Why don't we stick to that declaration that we are Hindus and not associated with Hinduism, which has got different connotations? And likewise, if that consistency is there across the board with what we represent, I think that change will happen, because otherwise everybody has got different definitions to that paradigm of Hinduism. So that's what I would say. And when I started the association in Pilbara, which was never thought of, despite the fact that we are based 1,600 kilometers away from Perth, and Sadhnaji and many others knows the difficulties that we face. We reach out to so many people for support. When we coined that name for the association, we wanted it Hindu Association of Pilbara for that particular reason. We wanted that identity of a Hindu. So many people within our membership now, it took so much time for us to convince, no, we want the name Hindu. Everybody said, why not Indian Association? No, we want Hindu Association. That's one thing. And then after that, to keep up with that, people have that feeling that, no, you're breaking the community. We are not breaking the community, we are strengthening the community and giving the people the courage to stand up and say with pride that we are Hindus. I think that spirit should come up within us. Thank you.
Swamiji wants me to read the declaration made at, the declaration that you mentioned. I'm going to read that out. Please be patient with this. World Hindu Congress Declaration number 1. In the term Hindu Dharma, the first word, that is Hindu, is an unbounded word. It signifies that is Sanatan or eternal. And then there is Dharma, which means that which sustains. Thus, Hindu Dharma signifies all that which eternally upholds everything, an individual, a family, a community, a society, and even nature, both animate and inanimate. In contrast, Hinduism is totally different because it is suffixed with an ism. The term ism is defined as an oppressive and discriminatory attitude or belief. In the mid-19th century, United States of America, the phrase the isms was used to collectively refer to radical social reform movements and various non-mainstream spiritual or religious movements in a derogatory manner. The term Hinduism should be understood in such a context. One should also note that the term Hinduism was introduced in the popular lexicon by Sir Monier William by his handbook Hinduism. This handbook was published in 1877 by the Society for Promoting Christian Knowledge. This intellectually dishonest terminology is the seed behind the vicious anti-Hindu narrative over the past 150 years. It is for such reasons that many of our elders prefer the term Hindutva or Hinduism as the former is more, they prefer the term Hindutva over Hinduism as the former is a more accurate term since it includes the gamut or spectrum of all that the word Hindu implies. We agree with them and should do the same. Hindutva is not a complicated word. It simply means Hindu-ness. Others have used the alternative Sanatan Dharma, often abbreviated as Sanatan. Here the term Sanatan works as an adjective indicating Hindu Dharma's eternal nature. However, in the present public discourse, many academicians and intellectuals regularly portray Hindutva as the antithesis of Hindu Dharma. That is, extremely negatively. Some of them argue like that because of their ignorance, but most are anti-Hindutva because of their visceral hatred and biases against Hindu Dharma. Many politicians, driven by political agenda and personal prejudices, have also joined the group and are criticizing Sanatan Dharma or Sanatan with increasing regularity. On behalf of the global Hindu community, the World Hindu Congress declares that such malicious criticism of Hindutva or Sanatan Dharma or Sanatan or Hindu Dharma actually targets the Hindu society and all that is beautiful, just, good and noble in it. I'll read this again. It actually targets the Hindu society and all that is beautiful, just, good and noble in it. In reality, these are attacks against goodness itself. The World Hindu Congress strongly condemns such attacks and urges Hindus worldwide for the manifestation of Hindutva through organized global efforts to overcome those who are engaging in such anti-Hindu attacks and bigotry and emerge victorious.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It is on the World Hindu Congress website.
Okay, it is on. It is on the World Hindu Congress website. You can go back and look at the declaration. I'll bring our panel discussion now to a conclusion. Just before that, two things. One, Sudhakaranji, acknowledge the hard work that's gone in Pilbara, because Swamiji actually, and any of you from the other states, if you visit Pilbara, we have to take a flight. It's, and it's a very expensive flight. So to have actually given the term Hindu to the Association of Pilbara was a big challenge in your first 2 years. Thank you. So we are not afraid by nature. It's just that I think our circumstances, put us into a corner, but we have learned to defend ourselves well and fight, push back. And second, I apologize for using the term Hinduism. I should have used Hindutva or Hindu-ness. So that's a lesson for me to learn.
You came late. Lecture was about that.
So it shows that I came late. Thank you very much.
another round for this fabulous panel we had. Thank you.